Welcome again. Today we're gonna be checking out another game. I think this is a pretty weird game. So it was filled with a lot of blunders, but it's actually quite a good game. But the the beginning and the end game they're actually good, but the middle game is a mess, a big mess. So let's see what happened. That is on this game. I was playing with black. Of course, my opponent started with the natural move to e4. Respond with e5. Attack my pawn and I protect that pawn. Push the bishop to c4, and I covered the square on g5, so then the knight doesn't go there and try to pin me or trying to fork me. So my opponent pushed the pawn, of course. Then I pushed my knight to f5. Put this queen's knight one step. Then I pushed my pawn on f8 to c5. Opponent pushed the pawn on the other side, that's on the a file, to a3. Then I castled. My opponent pushed the pawn on b2 to b4, attacking my bishop. Then I pushed back with my bishop, not back into the other side, not the original side, back to b6. Then I moved my pawn to d5, from d7 to d5, to d6, not d5, sorry, from d7 to d6, the queen's pawn. Then my opponent moved this is knight from b1 to d2, because that's the only available square. The other square is covered with his own pawns. Then I pushed my pawn on my queen's pawn to d5. Looking for this exchange here, of course I took back with the knight. My opponent didn't accept the knight. Then I moved my knight to f4, attacking that vulnerable pawn there. And I'm also attacking the pawn on d3. It is protected by the bishop, but the queen is also attacking it, so I was gonna win the pawn for a bishop. I was gonna win a bishop and a pawn for a knight. My opponent castled, of course, covering that other pawn that was not protected there. Then I chose not to accept that pawn. I chose to continue moving forward. I moved my queen to f6. My opponent attacked my queen with his knight that was on d2 to e4. Then I moved my queen to g5, looking to capture the pawn on h3 with the bishop, because the pawn on g2 is pinned to the king. Opponent covered that file, of course, so I can't capture anymore. Then I push my pawn on h6 to h5. Then my opponent pushed the pawn to h4. That was on h3. Then I pushed my bishop to g4, pinning the knight to the queen. Then my opponent moved the pawn that was on b4 to b5, attacking my knight on c6. Then I put my knight back to e7. My opponent took the pawn that was on e5, attacking my queen, because now he moved his rook, so the queen is free, but he's also attacking my queen at the same time. So I chose to accept the queen, of course, and this is the best move. My opponent took my queen also. Then I took back with the knight. That was the best move. Then my opponent took my bishop, that took his queen with the rook. And I took the free pawn there. And at this position, I forgot. I missed this at this position. after, well, before this move, yeah, I should have taken the bishop, the knight on after I moved the pawn, or after I made that move. Then this move, the move to knight to g3, I should have taken with the queen, because you can't take back with the pawn because the pawn is pinned to the king. So, and that will actually change the game. The game from that position was over. It was, I think, made in 6 moves. So I missed that. It's a big miss. That could have changed the game. It's not a miss that you missed the piece. It's a miss that you missed it to lead you to a checkmate. Yeah, that's the way. It's a miss that I missed that will lead me to a checkmate. So let's continue to the original position. Then we took just going that. Yeah, now we're here. Then I took the pawn, of course. Can't take back with the king. I moved this bishop to c1, attacking my knight on f4. Then I pushed my pawn that was on h5 to h4, attacking his knight also. But if he at this point, if he took my knight with his bishop, I would have taken with my knight. I wouldn't have taken his knight, because then I'll lose 2 knights. If you get what I mean. So let's continue. Move this knight out of the way. I wanted to attack the knight, but I thought I was just gonna move. Maybe with a check. So let me protect my knight. Let me double protect my knight. And I pushed my pawn to 2 squares. But the better move, I think, was to attack the knight. But I made that move anyway. Let's continue. It was not a miss or mistake. It was just an accurate move. So yeah, my opponent played check. So I moved my king to g7. When I was looking for me to move my king maybe to away from the pawn, so I could take the pawn, because it's being attacked by 2 pieces. So I didn't move away. Then my opponent moved this knight to g4. Then I attacked the knight. Now my pawn's actually getting strong. They're getting closer to the king. So at this position I was very happy. Then he moved to e5 in the knight. Then I pushed my pawn to h3, protecting my knight. So now I don't have to take with the knight. I can take with the pawn. When I took the knight, I took with the knight. I didn't say I was gonna take with the pawn. I took with the knight, of course, but I was just saying I didn't have to take with the knight. But I had to open up the king on in other way. So I put this king attacking my pawn, but that pawn is protected anyway. Then I moved my rook to h8, strengthening that pawn. Now my intention was to make that pawn crown, or making it difficult for him to play, because there's a pawn that's 2 squares from crowning. Then my opponent moved this rook to g2. I thought he was gonna move to h1. Then I moved my pawn to g4, because it was being attacked by the rook. And moved his king to g3, attacking my knight on f3, on f4. Then I moved my knight to h5 for a check. My opponent went back to the h2 square. Then I moved my pawn on c7 to c6. Then I accept the pawn, attack that pawn, double pawn there. Then I protected with my rook. Then I attacked my rook and my bishop. Then I moved my bishop with the check, because I didn't want to lose any of those pieces. Then I attack his knight, because I moved his knight, attacking my rook. Then I moved my rook to f6. I didn't want to accept the rook. At this position, I feel like the bishop was very important. So I didn't want to lose my bishop because it seemed like a very important piece. Then I moved this knight to f8. Then I moved my king to h6. Move this knight to h4. Then I move my pawn to h2, attacking the rook. Then I move this rook. Then I doubled up my rooks. Then I attacked my bishop. Because I moved my bishop, then I attacked this rook. Doubled up this rook. I don't know what was the plan here. I don't know what was the plan here, so I captured that. I don't the free rook, but I captured the rook. And my opponent captured my bishop, of course. Then I moved my knight to f4. My opponent went back to c2. I think maybe he took that bishop because he was tired of the pawn on h2. He wanted to take it out. Then, but I won't let that pawn be captured. I'll do anything to protect that pawn. Then I move my king to g5, attacking his knight on h4. Move this knight back, capture the knight. Of course, can accept the knight. It's between a knight and a pawn. Then I protected my pawn. Looking to promote right now. Then covered that square with the king. Pushed my pawn to f4. Then came with the check. Move my king to h4. Attack the pawn on g4. Then I pushed the pawn to g3. Attacked and I took back. Then I played check. Then I played my king to g5. At this position, when he's playing these moves, I was actually scared that I'll make a mistake because he's playing these checks and they look effective. And it almost cost me, like at this position. I moved my king to h5. This is actually a blunder because I'm losing my rook with the discovered attack, because he can move his rook to any. He can move his rook to f4, attacking my rook with the check. So my opponent didn't see that. I thought maybe so that then we continue to took my pawn with a check. I don't know why. Like, why didn't just move to f4? Because that was his idea all along. I don't know why my opponent didn't make that move, because then he was winning the game, but he took the pawn instead. Then I moved my king. Then he played check. Then I won't go back to the square because now I'm gonna lose my rook. So I think from the start I should have made that move. Maybe I should have went back. I didn't want to come to square. Maybe I should have. I know I was losing my rook even I made the move to another square. From this position where the check, if I move to f6 to f5, it's a check. It's a no. You can't make that move. You had to move. Yeah, another square saved my rook. So anyway, let's continue. Then I'm open, move bishop to e2. Looking to play the check. Then I play the check with my knight. Then I took his rook with my rook. Then I took his rook back. Then took my pawn. Then I took back with the pawn. Now I'm winning. No, it was just a free. I was winning. Then I played bishop to d3. Don't know what was the idea there. Move my knight to e5, looking for the checkmate. Cover that square, then I pin it. Then the game was over here because there was nothing you can do to save. His king can't move anywhere, and his bishop is the opposite color bishop, so you cannot attack my king and my pawn. So the game ended here. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, share, comment, and thank you for watching.